I should be fine. So everything is working. All right, boys. I am gonna share my screen, and I'm gonna record this as well if you have to go early. We're probably gonna go for around 35 minutes or something, where I basically just talk about the sales process, how I do it, my thoughts around it, and then we can open up for some Q&A at the end, as we always do. So with that being said, let's just get into it. The first point is that you can obviously do one call closes and two call closes. And I always do two call closes, but when I was starting out, I always did one call closes. And that's because if you're just starting out and you're just doing the generic onboarding and pay per meeting kind of structure, you have to realize that your offer is so fucking good that you don't need a two call close. Most people is gonna say yes if you do it in the correct way. But the reason why I do two call closes now is because I do retainer models and performance-based revenue share deals. And I cannot work with everyone, because when you're doing revenue share deals and you're getting majority of your pay through revenue share deals, you don't want to work with shitty clients, and they need to have a proven offer. And with a two call close, what it allows you to do is that you don't need to waste time. Because if you're booking 30, 40 meetings every single week, you don't want to sit there for 1 hour on every single call, because you're just not going to be doing anything else. So with a two call close, you just spend 15 minutes on that call, qualify them, figure out if it's a priority, and then move them over to a second call if they're qualified. And if they're not qualified, you can just disqualify them and move on to the next client. It also helps to position yourself as a little bit more high value, because it makes it seem like you don't take on every single client, which is obviously true. And it's also easier to book in, obviously, like a 15-minute introduction call than it is to book in a 45-minute sales call. And that is probably one of the big reasons why most people do the introduction call. But it's also, if you're doing one call closes, I wouldn't present the call as a 45 to 1 hour consultation call either way, because most strangers is not going to just accept that. So always just try and pitch it as like a 15-20 minute introduction call, and then at the end of it, if you are doing one call closes, just say, look, do you have another 25 minutes? I can kind of go over my process, because I think you're a great fit. And that is basically it. But if you are doing like the one call closes, it is harder. I would say, like, I don't know if you got any pointers to that, Nathan, but like in my experience, like it is harder to do the one call close, because everything kind of have to fall into place at once. Whereas you have more room for failure with the two call close, because you can ask questions again and get the decision makers on the call, etc., etc.
Yeah, and also it depends sometimes on the company size. For example, if you're reaching out to someone, let's say, that has 100 employees, and even if you reach out to the CEO, even if they're the owner, the founder, it's not going to be like only one person that makes the decisions. They would maybe consult with the CMO, the CFO, the CRO, and like sometimes you have to do a two call close there. But if you want to like increase your close rate on the one call, add case studies, add VSLs, just add value in that delay between them booking a call and them getting on the call. So if it's a, let's say, 2-day delay, 3-day, you send them something every day, so a doc, a video, value, and then you can increase the close rate.
Yeah. So if you are doing the one call close, you just follow this discovery call script basically to the T. But at the end of it, you don't just say, let's book a call. You just go into, can I show you what I got for you? So it's pretty similar. So if you're doing the two call close, you basically just, the only objective of the discovery call is just to qualify. If you're doing the two call close, you are just qualifying on that call. You're not doing anything else, and that is the main objective. And it's just to get them into that 45 1 hour growth. I usually call it like a growth consultation, the next call, but it's basically just a sales call where you basically just give them a demo of your service. It's to see if they're a good fit. And one of the most important things is that I just like to speak first whenever I do all my calls. That is one of the most important things in my experience around frame control. I like to speak first. I want to set the tone with authority and basically what I want to do on this call. But there's two things that I want to mention before we get into the script. And that is, like, obviously, I've seen a lot of people in this space do sales calls and present discovery calls, etc. By running this community, and I've seen a lot of recordings of it. And what most people do wrong on the discovery call script and just sales scripts in general is that they just follow the script, which is not what we need to do. So most people, they look at the script like this and they just say, okay, awesome, I need to just follow the script, and I cannot go and I need to ask all these questions. I need to follow the script, I need to ask all the questions. So they say this line and they go directly to this line without kind of hearing what they have to say. And then they get the answer to this question and they go straight to the next question and straight to the next question. And what that does is just makes you seem extremely like robotic, and it basically makes it seem like you are interrogating the other prospect or the person that you're talking to. And when you are interrogating someone, they will, one, get extremely fucking annoyed because it's not kind of what they signed up for, because most people sign up for like you giving them some value. And if you just go straight into just asking them questions, they're going to be like, what the fuck is this? And second of all, they're not going to answer the more hard-hitting questions, like how many meetings are you currently booking? What is your actual problem? Why are you on this fucking call? Or what is your monthly recurring revenue? What is your goals? Like they're not going to answer that if it's just if you're just reading off a script. And the second thing is that people think just because I have this discovery call script that they need to get all these questions answered. That's not the problem. That's not the purpose. So I got this fucking fancy whiteboard. Nathan always makes fun of me, but the purpose of the...
No, it's cool. I like drawings.
The purpose of the discovery call and basically the qualification process is that we got an introduction, and that is just to build rapport and build yourself up as the authority. So that's the first point. And the second point that we want to get across is the qualification. So that is qualification. The second point is that you want to just qualify them. You want to ask questions where you can kind of know, okay, are they qualified to work with me? Example, a qualification question could be, how many salespeople do you have? And if you're only working with people with like a lot of like, for example, I want at least these guys to have like 2 to 3 salespeople, because if I want to run paid ads to this offer, I need a lot of salespeople that can actually take these calls. And the next is just, I call this problem awareness. Okay, and that is to get them aware of their problems. So make them aware that they have a problem. And then what most people think that they have to do with problem awareness questions, and we'll get into the questions, is that they'll just ask a bunch of questions that might be a problem, but that's not the purpose with problem awareness. The purpose for problem awareness questions is to find a problem that they have, and then when you find that problem, you just latch onto it and just dig deeper into that specific problem. In our cases, it's usually that they're not booking enough meetings. So we want to figure out why they're not booking enough meetings, and then we just want to dig deeper, like twist the knife, and just figure out, okay, why are they not booking? Why is this still a problem? Why have they not been able to figure out this problem? Because people, they pay us if we can provide them the solution to the problem. So that is the 3 steps to the qualification process, and then it's just about getting into the sales call afterwards. So if we get into the questions, I always start out as the first thing, like obviously as I mentioned before, speak first and set the tone. So I don't talk about the fucking weather in the start. Like you just want to go straight into, hey, first name, Gus here, do you hear me loud and clear? That is always what I say in the start. I don't ask them how they're doing, whatever. I want to position myself as a person that is busy and is here to figure out if I can actually help that person. And then I just say this first initial line where I'm basically just saying, look, I need some questions from you before moving forward, because otherwise I don't even know if I can even help, because there are a lot of people that I just can't help, or there's a lot of companies that I cannot help. What this little line allows, basically makes it up to do, is that it just sets it up in a way where the prospect will know that you need something from them. You need to ask some questions Because if you don't say this and you just go straight into the questions, they're gonna be like, okay, this is just like a dude asking you questions for no reason. This is just a discovery call. But if you position it this way, they'll be more than happy to answer your questions. And then you just say something like, what's it that kind of sparked your interest into hopping on a call with me today? Sometimes people will literally tell you their entire fucking backstory and the root cause of their problem and exactly why they have not been able to book meetings for the last 3 years. If they do that, you don't need to ask all these other questions, because this is just like introduction questions to just build some rapport, to basically open them up. Because sometimes people don't want to sit there and just give you your problems right away. I always say that if you, I heard it from like somewhere, but like if you are stuck in an elevator with someone, like there's a very slim chance that the other person that you just met is gonna tell you how their mother is doing if you ask them. But if you sit there for 45 minutes with that person, there's a higher chance that they'll be open up, right? And the same goes for sales. So sometimes they'll just kind of give you everything in the start. Sometimes they won't, and you will need to ask them like some other introduction questions like, what is your customers? What are you helping them with? Do you have case studies? And like these questions, you can obviously figure that out on your own. Like it's very easy to figure it out on your own. But if you ask them, it kind of opens them up. And when we've done that, we kind of go down to marketing. And as I said, like before as well, like if they already say what they're doing, you obviously don't need to go through all these questions. But if they haven't opened up, this is how you do it. So you basically just say, well, let's talk about marketing. How are you getting leads right now? What's going on over there? Are you doing outbound prospecting, paid ads? Are you relying on referrals? How many salespeople do you have? How are these guys doing? How many appointments are you doing per day, per month? How many appointments are the salespeople doing per day or per month? And you just kind of open them up. And from here, you can basically just go even deeper, right? Because you, as I mentioned before, like on this one, you are trying to figure out what problem they have. So you are trying to latch on to a problem. So if they say that, oh, well, we are only relying on referrals, then it's not just about saying, okay, so how many salespeople do you have? If they say we are only relying on referrals, then you go deeper into that. Okay, so how many meetings are you getting from referrals on a monthly basis on average? Well, they'll say something like, we'll get 5 meetings on a month. They'll say, okay, is that enough? Do you need more? Do you need less? Like, is that a sweet spot? And then they'll give you the answer. So it's all about just digging into the question or the answers that you're getting and figuring out what the problem is, and then just latching on to that problem and just dig deeper, because that is how you really make people be aware that they have a problem. That's why we call it problem awareness. 2 very important questions, especially if you're doing pay per appointment, is obviously to figure out what is that close rate and what is the LTV of each customer. Because if you know that close rate, like average close rate, and the lifetime value of each customer, then you know what one meeting is worth to them on paper. So like example, if their LTV is $10,000 and their average close rate is 25%, you know that on paper, a meeting is worth $2,500 for them. And by there, you can charge according to that if you're doing pay per appointment. So you would charge $250 or $500 because it's 1/10 or 1/5 of that price. And you need to note this down because you'll use it on the sales call or in 20 minutes when you're doing the call, if you're doing one call closes. Then there are some future situation questions, which is kind of corny sometimes, but if you are building like a lot of rapport with them, it kind of makes sense to go into, especially if you're selling revenue. Now, some of you guys are selling appointments, so it doesn't matter. But if you're selling revenue, you can say something like, what do you want your monthly revenue to be in the next 6 to 12 months? Like if you're selling like a full package, like funnels, paid ads, SEO, whatever it is that you can kind of go with in B2B. And after you ask this question, and I always ask this question first, because if I ask it after this, it's kind of salesy, but if I ask it first and then go into, oh, and by the way, what is your monthly revenue, just ballpark, it makes a lot more sense, because then I can kind of tie it into how much they need to increase. If you're just setting appointments, you can just say, look, how many appointments would you ideally want in the next, let's say, 3 to 6 months on a monthly basis? And how many do you currently have, if you haven't gotten that question? This is some questions where you kind of dig deeper when you find a problem to latch onto. So like, what else have you tried? Why didn't it work in your own opinion? In your own honest opinion, why have you not been able to book 5 to 10 meetings on a weekly basis? And what is stopping you, in your own honest opinion, from hitting your goal on your own? What do you think is getting in your way? So it's just digging deeper into the problems. Here we just figure out how important it is in terms of priority. Obviously, if someone says that they're looking to get this problem solved in 12 months, what is the point of even trying to get them on a sales call? Obviously, you can try and kind of combat it with like objection handling, but if they say that, look, brother, we're only going to move forward in 12 months from now, I mean, just take another client. But what you really want to hear from them is just say, look, we need this problem solved today. And then you got some real priority from their side to move forward, and you can get another call up and running very soon. Here you ask them if they have engaged in an agency like this before, and that is an extremely important question as well, because you can use what they answer here in your sales process. Because let's say that they say, yes, we have worked with an agency like this before. They had very, very shitty reporting. They never got back to us in the Slack messages. We had no idea what they were working on a weekly basis or a monthly basis. You can use that to your advantage on the sales call by saying something like, client communication is one of our priorities at the agency. And in their subconscious mind, they'll be like, holy fuck, this guy is exactly what we're looking for. And if you do the 1 call or the 2 call close, you would just say something like, well, time is kind of running out, but if you want, I would love to book you in for another call to finish up these questions and then potentially find a solution that might work for you. How does that sound? 9 out of 10 times, they'll say yes, and you can just move forward. And then you just say, awesome, by the way, are you the guy that pulls the triggers on deals like this, or do we need someone else to join in on the call? Most people will understand what that means. And then you just say, let's open up the calendar, see what's available, and book in a time slot. Now, something to note here is that in some cases, and I know some of you will know what I'm talking about here, sometimes these discovery call scripts or calls is not going to go as smooth as you want them, because you'll find some dude that is just has an extreme ego, has been in business for 20 years, 60 years old, whatever it is, and he don't just want to hop on a call with a younger person and just ask or answer questions. And he'll be like, nah, hold on, let's just have you explain what you do and what if you even are relevant for us at this point, which is extremely annoying, but it happens. And what you do there is basically just give them a fast overview of your offer without going into any detail at all. I usually do this, and I do it in 20-25 seconds, and then I just repeat back what I just said in terms of I need to figure out if we can even help by asking you a few questions. So you can say something like, we build X, we do it with X, we work, and we've worked with a bunch of other companies, or we have this offer, and let's get back to it. So that is discovery call script. Nathan, do you have anything?
No, I think that's it. Like the goal is never to like, no, okay, we're going to work with them. The goal is to just like see if they have a problem. I think people sometimes think, okay, it's a discovery call. That means they have to have a problem. I'm just going to discover what their problems are. No, you want to see if they even have those problems.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a different mindset completely.
Exactly. All right. And I think like the discovery call is really what you should be focusing on the most when you're doing sales, because that is the most important thing. It's like it's setting the entire pace for the entire sales process. It's building up the frame,
and then you'll know what they care about.
Exactly.
Like you said, someone maybe cares about communication more than about writing better copy, for example. Maybe let's say them comparison, but for example, okay, their priorities are we don't need more calls. We want to get in contact with, let's say, companies that have X solution. So even if they get one call per month, you don't care. They're satisfied because that's their goal. Everyone has different goal, and like what you want to get from discovery call is their top 3 goals, for example. So the more, the better. But after you get that info, then you, of course, work on the sales calls a lot easier, and you're going to close them a lot easier because you know what they care about. They care about this, they don't care about that. I have a system that does X, Y, Z, it's fast, it's this. Okay, but I don't care about that. So
Exactly.
it's, the nerd compared, for example, the nerd compared to the, casual guy that has loads of money. So the nerd cares, okay, how fast is this car? How fast is this bike? But the other guy that has, millions, he just cares, okay, how exclusive is this car? So
Yeah.
it's that comparison.
So I really want you guys, if you are struggling with sales calls, especially like, you will notice that if you already have been running a lead gen agency and you're now transitioning into doing retainers and rev shares, and you've just been doing pay-per-meeting with it, which is like an extreme no-brain offer, it becomes a little harder to sell. So really dialing in the discovery call script and the process is what's going to make you able to sign a lot bigger clients. In terms of the sales process, I'm going to go over the pitch deck that I use, but the sales call process is very simple, and I don't use the pitch deck anymore, but for the first like 1.5 year of business, I used the pitch deck, and it's how I also sold one of my first retainer clients. So I think the pitch deck is great. I know a lot of people hate on the pitch deck, but I think it's very, very good for newcomers into the sales call. Basically, what I want to do is, as soon as we get on the call, I just repeat back the same thing, like, hey, do you hear me loud and clear? All right, awesome. And then I just summarize the last call. I summarize what we talked about. And also, you want to make sure that I talked about this in an email a few days ago, if any of you read it. But if there's someone higher up at the company present at the call that you didn't know about, like let's say you talk to the VP of sales at a SaaS company, and he actually said that he was the decision maker. He had budget to allocate towards marketing or sales or whatever, and suddenly the CEO is on the call as well. If you just start the sales call right there as with the same process, you are going to fail, because he has not, you haven't heard his problems, the CEO. And if there's the CEO present, obviously the VP of sales is not going to have the last call about moving forward with you. So you actually need, in my opinion, to do basically the entire discovery call script again for the CEO, and just act like the VP of sales is not even there, and just go through the problem awareness questions again to figure out if it's the same problems that the CEO has, because he might think that there's no problem at all and you're just wasting your time. And you might need to change your sales presentation mid through because he got different needs, and it's actually the CEO that you need to pitch. But you want to summarize the last call, and you want to make them agree that they mentioned what their X LTV was and their X average close rate. So you want to make them agree that yes, and you told me that you had a $10,000 lifetime value average of each customer, and your average close rate was about 25%. Is that right? And you make them agree, because you need to use that when you are showing them the price. Just always record the calls. Also, just if they have to talk to their team members after the call, which happens a lot in B2B, you could just send over the recording. And I usually don't even tell them that I'm recording the call. Like 9 out of 10 times, they won't even ask or question that the call is being recorded, because it's so normal these days that you just record the call as always. And 1 out of 10 times, people will be like, hey, please don't record. And I'll just say, sure. So I'll open the pitch deck, I'll run through it, and let's just go through the pitch deck right now. I'm not going to go through it in detail, but I'm going to show you how it kind of works. So I usually just make some kind of wacky little personalization here. Maybe I'll put my logo and their logo up here, so it seems just a little bit personalized. I present the big idea, and this is something that I got from Oren Klaff in one of his books. But it's basically just getting them on the same page as you and letting them know that, look, this is the best solution in the whole entire space, and this is why. So I basically, and this can be anything. This can both be why your offer is the best, or it can be why your specific service, like solution or unique mechanism, is the best. But you basically just want to get them on the same page. So you basically just say, most people do this, most people get shitty results. What's the best bet? Do X. So in this case, hire a performance-based lead generation agency that works on a pay-as-you-go model and only gets paid when they deliver results. Then I just go into basic like features, process, how we do it, analysis, whatever, results, and you just add as many results as you can here, testimonials, whatever it is. That's usually what I do. Service. Here's also where I kind of personalize a little bit. So I want to just say, here is what you have already optimized. So like great product offer, untapped market, infrastructure ready for growth, and whatever they actually mentioned that they have already optimized. And then you just want to say what you can optimize for them, and you can be very personalized here, and it actually seems like you created a lot of the presentation for them specifically, even though that you just kind of changed this little bubble. Then you just go into more proof that your process works, and I just do that here. And you want to get to the roadmap, and this is also very important. I see a lot of people, they don't have a roadmap in their presentations, which is insane. But you just want to kind of put in your process into phases, and you want to put timelines on that to give them a clear understanding. And now something that is really important here is that you want to get to this phase. Obviously, we're going to mention the price on the next slide. Something that I do is that I want to make sure that they like what we have already said. Obviously, like throughout the presentation, it should take you around 10 to 15 minutes to get to this point. You don't want to spend more than 15 minutes up until this point. Otherwise, people are just going to get extremely annoyed. And also sometimes, like, I usually look at the camera when I'm doing this presentation to see if the other person is kind of looking at the phone or looking away, like out the window, or starts to talk to one of their co-workers or whatever, because that shows me or tells me that I need to speed up my presentation because he's losing attention. Something that I do, which is extremely important, is that when I get to this phase, I ask him if it makes sense and they kind of like the process, and if they can see how this could solve their X problem. So in our case, their lead generation problem, their problem about not booking enough meetings, how it could get them to 50 meetings a month if that was their goal. I ask this before I show them the price. And if they say no to this, I don't show them the price. I go to whatever slide or whatever question that they have, and I explain it very thoroughly until I can ask this sentence again and get a yes. So if they keep saying no, I'm not going to the price. I want them to tell me that they fucking love my product. Otherwise, I don't go to the price. Because if they say no to this and you go to the price, there's no fucking shot that they're gonna buy it. But if they say yes, you've basically trapped them. Because if they say yes, I can see how this is going to solve my lead generation problem, and I like the process, and I can see how this would make sense for me specifically, and you show them the price, they're kind of stuck because they just told you that they love the price or love the product, so they can only do objections in terms of the price is too high. So you basically just trap them, because a lot of times when you say the price, they'll say, well, it's not going to work for me. And in most cases, it's just because, well, maybe the price is too high and they don't see the value of it. But it's very hard to go back when you already showed them the price, because then they have so many routes to go. So you want to eliminate routes that they can possibly go with their objections. And we do that with this line. So you have to make sure that they say to you that they love your product. Otherwise, you're not going to give them the price. So if they do go to the price, you basically just go to the price, and you mention that this is like for obviously pay per meeting when you're doing onboarding fee. If this was retainer plus revenue share, you would just have retainer here and revenue share here. And you basically tell them, look, the onboarding fee for us to create the scripts, the infrastructure, the sending tool, whatever it is, domains to purchase, is going to cost 2,000. You can even put something that I always did in the start, because something that you have to know is that most people hate buying on the first on the first offer, when you explain the offer in the start. So something that I did in the start was always just to look for the first 5 no's. So I would always just price my service like ridiculously high. I would actually say $8,000 as the onboarding fee when I got a little more experience. And sometimes people would say yes to that, and sometimes they would just fucking laugh at me. But that doesn't matter, because we want to get the first no out of the place. So I usually just say, let's say it's $4,000. So the onboarding fee is $4,000 for us to do XXX, and in that, the first 20 qualified meetings is also going to be included. And after that, after we've booked you those 20 qualified meetings, it's going to go over to a monthly payment or weekly payment, whatever you want to call it. And we're going to charge $200 per qualified meeting we book for you. And you basically just want to match the 200 to 20, so it matches 4,000. So 20 times 200, 4,000. And if the prospect is not qualified, not a problem, just let us know and we won't charge you. And our guarantee, mention your guarantee, and then just summarize the offer on this last page. And you just ask him, John, does this sound like something down your alley? And then John is going to be like, in 9 out of 10 cases, John is going to say, no, I think the price is too high, or I need to think about it, whatever it is. So there's obviously a few different objections he can say here. So he can say the price is too high. He can say, I need to talk to the team, and he can say, I need to think about it. Most cases, the price is too high, because usually like selling meetings, even though you're doing retainers or whatever it is, selling meetings is so easy because it's just something every single B2B company needs. So it's almost never the problem that they just don't see the value. But I guess they don't see the value if they say the price is too high. But if they say they need to think about it, usually you just need to dig a little bit, because they usually will say that the price is too high. What you do if they say that the price is too high is that you want to figure out if it's the onboarding fee they think is too high, or it's the monthly investment. Is it the monthly retainer that they think is too high, or is it the percentage of revenue share that they think is too high? You need to figure out what it is out of those two that you present for them that is too high for them. Because if they say it's one or the other, you have basically just eliminated the opportunity for them to say, well, it's also the other thing. So in most cases, they'll say, well, the $4,000 onboarding fee is way too much. We don't even know if you can get us results. So indirectly, they just told us that the $200 per qualified meeting is fine. So now you can obviously just start to negotiate, because as I mentioned earlier, we obviously priced the service as something ridiculous. Let's say you're doing 5,000, 8,000, 10,000. Now we can start to negotiate. So you just start saying, okay, well, John, I know this is going to work for you, XXX. We want to get started as soon as possible. We don't want to make this little onboarding fee the way that we are going to make money off of you. This is just to get things started, to get our copywriters working, build the infrastructure. But what we really want to do is that we want to make money off the performance structure that we have in place. So we are down to cut into our margins and just say something like $2,000 to cut that in half. And then obviously we would change this to 10 qualified meetings. Now, John, how does that sound? Cutting the onboarding fee down in half. Do you want to get started right away? Something like that. And it is only the onboarding fee that you have to focus on. And you don't need to focus on this one, because he just mentioned that it's the onboarding fee. You can even go down to 1,700, 1,500, whatever it is. You can just keep negotiating if it's the decision maker on the call. Now, you're going to get like 30%, 35% of people that can actually pay on the call. It doesn't happen that much. So usually they'll just say something like, I'll need to talk to the team. I'll need to think about it. And if they do that, I know a lot of fucking sales gurus, they'll tell you that you need to do heavy objection handling. But in my experience, you will just look like a complete fool if you try to do objection handling on a call in the B2B space with people with over like fucking 10 employees, because usually they simply just need to talk to the team, like their co-founders or the investors or whatever it is. So just say, sure, brother, let me send over you the recording and the pitch deck, and then you just follow up very aggressively. So that means an email almost every single day, giving them information about your process, testimonials, sales assets, and call them up if they ghost you. So basically, you say something like, well, John, we need to take on another client within the next week. Would it be fair for you to get back to me within 3 days with an answer? He'll say, sure. Obviously, 3 days is a lot. He can definitely talk to the team within 3 days, and then you just call him up if he doesn't answer on the third day. And then some final thoughts about B2B selling that I basically had to figure out on my own, because not a lot of people actually teach this fucking B2B selling shit, is that you don't want to be rigid, you want to be flowy, and you want to be conversational. You don't want to sound scripted. I spoke on this a little bit in the start, but you want to just have a conversation. You want to be a normal human being, and you just want to be present and figure out what are their problems and can I solve the problems. If you can't solve the problems, and if there are no problems, don't try and force it. Just say, look, I don't think we're a good fit, and move on to the next prospect. There's a lot of prospects out in the sea. Have a normal conversation. Don't try hard too much. Just be extremely curious. That is a huge takeaway from this call. Just be very, very curious, and just generally try and figure out if you can help the person. And then obviously, like, the last thing is just look clean. Don't have clothes like hoodies and sweaters laying around, and find a nice webcam, and yeah, look clean, brothers. So that is the presentation for today. You got any questions, Nathan? You got anything you want to add?
No, the only thing I would like to add is for the people that are just starting out that maybe don't have any case studies or something like that. You can use a pitch deck, that's fine, but only like go over like the things that you can do while you're different. So every time like they will ask you, okay, have you worked with, let's say, an edtech company like ours? Have you worked with SaaS like ours? Have you worked with a company like us? And you can't say yes. And if you say yes, then you're lying. Like there's no way you can back it up. You can say no, like just be honest, like no, but we'll go and do something extra. So you can go the extra mile, tell them we'll also do this, we'll also do that. So just doing one extra thing is enough. So you can tell them we'll do more reporting. We'll make sure that you have a lower bounce rate than usual. So if the usual bounce rate is, let's say, 3%, you can tell them we'll have 1%, 2%. You just have to do one more thing. And if you want, like if you have time, and if they're open to it, you can maybe do weekly calls or bi-weekly calls and go through all of it and create a report. So you just have to do one extra thing. And also if they start like, because the main thing is you don't want to get compared. The reason why is if you're getting compared to someone, so let's say I'm comparing agency X with agency Y, that means I'm commoditized at that level. So it's just the same thing. So who has a lower price? Who has more social proof? You don't want to position yourself as that. You want to position yourself as someone that's different. So you can't compare me with X, with Y, with Z, because I do it differently. And then you just have your special system.
And how do you position that? How do you get to a point where you are not a commodity as a co-remote service provider?
Yeah. So what you do is you, like I said, branding. So it's a huge part. So if you can name some things differently, so lead list building, you can name it something else. Out like your sending tool, for example. So let's use Smart Lead. Not like most people, they are not going to give access to, let's say, Smart Lead. Instantly just add that feature. We have like a white label thing. So you're already better. So we have a custom dashboard. You can just tell them this. We have a custom dashboard. We'll see all of the KPIs. So what's the sending limit? What's the reply rate? What's the mini book rate? What's everything? How many calls were qualified, for example? So you can use like that tool. So a dashboard you can create. You can use Sheets. You can use Looker Studio. You can use other tools. But at the start, the easiest thing to do is just use Smart Lead. So if you're on Smart Lead, instantly just add this, and then you tell them we'll be 100% transparent and we'll see everything there. So at that point, you're already different because all of the agencies, they don't give them that information. They hide it. So you
Yeah.
just deliver the calls and that's it. If you're like more transparent, and that's the easiest thing to do. And if you have no case studies, no social proof, that's the only thing you can do is be more transparent and go that extra mile, and that's it. So you can also tell them, we'll also, let's say, warm call everyone, for example, that seemed interested. We'll keep following up. We'll
Build
also
you a
help
funnel.
you. Yeah, so we'll try to improve your landing page. If you want to just give you suggestions, we can create the VSLs for you. Or, for example, if you can refer them to a tool. So let's say they use Loom, you can tell them, hey, there's Video Hippo, for example, an AppSumo for $50. Maybe it makes sense to use that. So offer them something that no one else can do, or someone that's not knowledgeable enough. So maybe there are agencies that still use Lemlist, Woodpecker, all of that, and like you can just tell them, hey, we, like I said, have a custom dashboard. We'll see all the information and all of that, and then we'll also make another one, for example, in Sheets, if that's a bit easier to do, or in Looker Studio or other dashboard tools. That's enough. If you want, you can also add another service. So if you want, let's say you can tell them, hey, we'll also write some LinkedIn posts for you, some Twitter posts for you. Like, if you know how to do it, then it's fine. Don't just use AI because it won't work. It will just damage their reputation. So if you know how to write, let's say, good LinkedIn posts, good tweets, good threads, also offer that just as a free of charge, and tell them, hey, we'll post every 3 days. So writing 10 tweets or 10 LinkedIn posts, that's not going to take you more than, let's say, 2 hours max. And that way already different. So it's bonuses, so there's always a bonus at the end. And if you just add that one thing or those two things, a couple of things, you're already different. So you're not commoditized. So you have to be different. Like eventually every offer will sound the same to someone, but we also do this and X. So that and is the way you're not commoditized.
Yeah, and I would say the other thing, like, if you get the question of like, have you worked with an edtech company? Have you worked in this industry before? And you have not, and you're not gonna lie about it. Then simply just say no. We have not worked in that particular industry, and that is exactly why we are offering this type of offer. And we're not doing this for everyone. We're not gonna do this forever. We're not gonna be offering pay per appointment forever because it's not a sustainable business model. And the reason why we want to offer you this offer is because we want to get case studies in this industry. This is not what we usually charge. This is not our normal offering structure. But if you decide to hop on today, you can get this deal.
Yeah. Yeah. But I think sometimes like the issue there is if it's, like you said, someone that's been in business for a couple of years or that already knows the space, they can start becoming tire kickers where they try to lower the price. So they'll be like, okay, for example, it's normally 2K, but we'll lower it to 1,500, for example. And then some of them are, if they're boomers or if they're just a bad person, they'll try to lower it even more. Okay, let's do 1,250, let's do 300, but I wouldn't do it any lower. I think like if you keep like lowering it, then it just like it seems like a downsell. But what I would do is, I agree with you, tell them, hey, this is a special deal only today. It may seem like it's utilizing scarcity a lot, but it's not. Like they're used to it. It's not B2C, it's B2B. So they know if you say it's today and only, it's today and only. It's not like a DTC brand that says sale until 10 p.m. EST, but you see that it's still there, tomorrow.
Yeah,
Till 10
but
p.m.
you can also
So
just say like you have a few other calls coming up, and you're looking to onboard like the next client as soon as possible because you want to get that case study because you know you can get the results. So if you just say that you have a few other calls lined up, then you're good to go.
yeah, also yeah. You don't want to make it feel like you're desperate. I think that's the best way to describe it. Don't let them, like, even if you are, like some people are, that's completely fine. Don't let them sniff that and see like, okay, this guy is desperate. He will do it for $500 onboarding fee. Like, no, even if you are, play the hard game. Be serious and don't let them push you around. Always, you have your own opinion. Like all of these are, I think, tips and how to do it. If you have your own process, use it. Something that maybe works for me won't work for you, and that's completely fine. Everyone, this is just frameworks. And then you model them for your own agency. So maybe you want to do it like this. Maybe you want to ask what the weather is like, for example, even if it's a dumb opener. Maybe it works for you, or maybe it doesn't work. So like do what you like.
Yeah,
These are
that's
the
true.
best practices.
That's true.
If you want, you can do a complete 360 and use none of this and see like, okay, this is what I'm not going to do, like this, like that, like this, like that. That's fine. You just want to close deals, and that's the goal of every company, every B2B company, every B2C, is get more revenue. But use these. I think Gus gave you a lot of information how to do it, the best practices. He also showed you what the slides look like. I have a lot of info now, and I expect everyone, in I don't want to say January, right? But in February, everyone should be at least at some level, 5, 6K, 7K per month minimum, because you have everything here. And now, it's the holidays, it's fine. There'll be a lot of over replies. A lot of people won't reply. That's fine. But use this time to build out everything. Have time to work on that LP, work on your VSL, work on your LinkedIn. People like underestimate the power of it. Write good
And
posts.
the
Maybe open a
lead
Twitter.
lists. Fucking get the whole lead list ready.
Yeah. It's better, scrape 10,000 leads today, and let's say if you want to reach to 1K leads per day, you have them for 10 days. So do something. It's like, I understand everyone wants, chill right now. It's holidays and everything, but if you really want to, do something with your agency, with your offer, with your online business, you have to do something now. So, it's like most people like say, "Oh, okay, it's the new year. I'm starting something new." Yeah, and when January 5th comes around, they're already, back at the whole thing. So be consistent and don't lie to yourself. I think that's also really important thing. Like, I didn't do what I want to do today. I'll do it now. Don't move something for tomorrow, for 2 days, 3 days. Do it now. Like, if you don't have time, do it now. It's not as hard as you think.
Yes,
Maybe a recording a
sir.
VSL is hard. No, it's not. You just sit there and you talk. Like, is talking hard? No. Like, if you can go and do something else, you can do this. So unless like you can't do it, like not like physically, but if you don't have time, then I understand that. But if you have time now, like 30 minutes, record a VSL.
All right, boys. Let's
The
open up the
ROI
questions.
is much better.
Yeah. What's up, Francis? You got a question? Anyone else got some questions? Anyone want to come up here? I know.
Yeah.
I know Giuseppe as well. You want to fucking come up because I know you are in the process of actually transitioning into retainer models. But maybe you're just fucking
Yo, what's up,
crushing it.
Stoyan?
Hey guys.
Yo. You're on stage, Stoyan. Speak.
Oh yeah, I know that on stage, but I had a question too. Or I'm first
Okay.
now. So I have a quick one. So I
Okay.
don't have any case studies and testimonials for the
Okay.
moment. And my
That's okay.
question is, should I always have to make a guarantee for the full refund of the onboarding fee, or is still like a good thing to do it?
No,
Or I
I
can
would offer.
you don't need to do it. It obviously is going to help. Something that I usually did in the start was that I wouldn't mention the guarantee until they started kind of giving me some objections. So what
As
you
a
could
fallback.
exactly.
like, for example, when they start to back off. By the way, I forgot to tell you that we have a guarantee. Let's say.
Exactly. Or you
No,
can
no,
say
no.
something like, "Look, brother, I know that we don't we just met, whatever. If I could offer you a guarantee, would that help? So I could offer you a full money back guarantee if I don't book you at least 10 qualified sales calls in the next 3 months. Would that help?"
Yeah. Okay. Got it.
You don't want to templatize it. What people do is like they say, "I'm confident I can do 20 calls per month," for example. But you
Mhm.
know that if a company is, let's say, not that well positioned, so they don't have a lot of, customers, a lot of clients, a lot of social proof, it's going to be hard. So don't overpromise, under-deliver. It's better to do the opposite. Under-promise, over-deliver,
Three
and you have
meetings
to be dynamic.
maximum.
Yeah, and be dynamic. So if you have an objection, which is pricing, I think guarantees or like one of the best ways to handle them. So just guarantee them, and then tell them like, we'll do 5, we'll do 6, we'll do 10, but don't just go off of a template. And if everyone says, yeah, we do 20 guaranteed calls, okay, that's fine. But if they're not that, well positioned, like I said, you have to change it around. Maybe 10 is the maximum you can do. So use it as a fallback. In the like, if you do slides, we don't usually do that. Like, if you do slides, I wouldn't mention them, so I would maybe have them there, but they would just be your last slide. So you just click on like the arrow key on your keyboard, or like you click on the next slide, and then you do that. So you have like an objection handling slide. I think that's something everyone can have for some things. Like if you're noticing pricing is an issue, okay, have a slide for that. If you notice that case studies are an issue, have a slide for that, but don't have like a slide for everything, because you want to make the conversation natural, human, and dynamic, because you never know. Maybe you expect someone to be a really tough person on the call, but they're actually really casual and they're really interested in working with you. So you don't need to go and have answers already written
Mhm.
or in your head already prepared. Just go off of your feeling. It's fine.
It's because so
Like
far, sorry for
like I said,
interrupting
you
you.
don't have to follow all the text. Like some questions, like they're already answered. So if they tell you we do about 10 mil per year, we have 50 employees, you're not going to ask them again. How many employees do you have? It seems dumb.
Mhm.
If you already have the information, that's fine. And for like a few things, you don't even need it. Like if they say we do, I do 10 million in revenue, but we have 10 employees, the employee count isn't relevant. Why? Because maybe they don't have salespeople right now. Maybe those 10 employees are all developers, are all marketers, for example. They're not salespeople. So you always want to ask something specific. And maybe their business model is different. So maybe this is like, let's say, a question for B2B SaaS companies, but maybe you want to approach a coach, for example, that wants to offer coaching and consulting services. And it's just him. You're not going to ask him about employees because he doesn't have them.
What's up,
Like, it
boys?
all makes sense to asking for employees.
What's up, brother?
Can you repeat?
Boys,
Yeah,
just closed
Giuseppe,
my
what's up?
second retainer, man.
Nice.
I've been using all the docs in the sauce section. Super valuable. Huge props for this presentation. One thing I want to say is, in order to close retainers, what I'm trying to do right now is I pitch the retainer, and since most people won't instantly accept that, you say something like, as soon as you close the first client or the first customer, thanks to my systems, then the retainer moves from 1 grand to the actual 4K or 5K or whatever you're selling. I'm using that, and right now it's working for me. So just wanted to say that.
Yeah, I think that's
Yeah,
a
it
great way
can
to
work,
do it.
but it depends again on your offer. So
Sure,
sometimes, like
but
if you have fixed costs, like this will happen at scale. If you have like fixed cost, and I have to pay this team member, have this software cost, all of that. Also my time. Also like, see, okay, does it even make sense for me to work on this like, time wise? That's not going to
yeah,
work.
yeah.
And also for some companies, contract wise, it's going to be like, okay, it's first 30 days X, so 10K, but after that it's 5K. Some of them won't accept that because they want to know, okay, every month we're paying this amount. So it depends again on your offer, on your ICP and everything like that. But I usually like, we tell them it's this price and it's this price for this amount of time. You don't want to trap them like in a retainer, but you always want to do, okay, a minimum, okay, 6 months, a year, 2 years. You have to find like what's the minimum, and then if they want to go and maybe also get more services from you. So like I said, if you also offer ghostwriting, if you offer ads, if you offer sales training, that should be a different contract in my opinion. You always want to know, okay, this is for this offer and this is for that offer. And a lot of them, especially like people that are getting funding, people that are second or third time founders, when they have done a couple of exits, they want those cleaner contracts.
Yeah, I have another question. And how do you find like a co-founder, like somebody to work in your agency that knows everything in the game and can basically help you out and scale? Because right now I'm kind of like struggling because I'm a two-man show. I have me and my VA, but I don't know where to find like someone that knows the ins and out of lead gen, and just curious on that.
I mean, there's no clear cut answer to that because, like, I don't think you should go out and just kind of look for a co-founder. I think it's better. A co-founder is something that kind of happens naturally. I think, and just getting someone. Something
Fiverr.
something that I would be very very careful around in terms of partnering up with someone is that you need to figure out what is your skill set, what is the thing that you're really really good at, or what is the thing that you really enjoy doing at the company, and then figuring out or find someone that does the complete opposite, right? So if you are the sales guy and the guy that can bring in people, then you need to figure out, okay, who's the guy that is insane at like numbers and cold emails and whatever it is, so he can do the service delivery side of things. Because if you are both gonna do the sales and you're both gonna do the cold email, it's gonna be extremely complicated in terms of who's gonna do what at what times, and you're just gonna be fighting over each other in terms of you're not doing the expected work and I'm doing all the copy. So you need to have very clear cut rules and lines in terms of I do this and that is the only thing that I do, and you do this and that's the only thing that you do, and that's how you can scale.
Wow, interesting. And would you even like look for one, or it's not like something mandatory?
No, you don't need to like think about it at a company. You have, if you're just like at C-level executives, you have someone that does the financial aspect, that does the revenue aspect, that does the marketing, the operations and all of that. I would like, what we did is we trained everyone from scratch. That of course takes a lot more trial and error and a lot more, interviews and all of that. But I would just find someone, what do you spend the most time on? Lead list building. Okay, I'm going to outsource that, and then I'm going to focus on something else. Don't try to hire and try to remove yourself from the agency right away, because you can't do that. You don't have a system in place, and you don't know how that transition works. It's not like people explain that it's super easy. You just, hire a few people, you pay them, and then that's it. It doesn't work like that. It's not like business is dynamic. Anything can happen. Maybe they have all knowledge in the world, but they don't know what to do in this specific scenario. You're the only person that knows how to handle that situation, and you're not there. For example, you're on, I don't know, an island sipping cocktails. It doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
What I would do is I will, like I said, what do you spend the most time on? Lead list building. Okay, find someone who does that. I spend a lot of time on client reporting. Okay, can I automate that? Is there like, first look at tools. Are there tools I can, because if it's a tool, it works 24/7. You just pay the cost. I want to design something. Okay, I can use Canva AI, for example. I know you're a graphic designer, so already solved something there. So if it's lead list building, you already have the Polo bot. There are other ways to automate that. Okay, I'll do that. If it's copywriting, I wouldn't outsource it. I would never outsource it. I think writing copy is the most important thing you can do, and doing research and all of that. You can get someone to help with that. So if someone knows how to do research for something, or if they have specific knowledge. For example, if you're working with someone in a different country, so your other GT company is in Spain, and they know how the Spanish market thinks about X, and they speak the language and all that, maybe they can get you some better information. But that's a one-time task, so you can hire someone to do it for you. If it's like client reporting, so building out the dashboard, talking with clients, are they satisfied getting on weekly calls, I would also outsource that. The main thing, like I said, you want to do is look at how the agency is running, so it's a well-oiled machine, and then writing the copy. Everything else can be outsourced using software, using people.
Yo, I got a question. I was like,
What the fuck?
sorry, I was dying. Yo, guys, you know how you said that I should meet my clients and chat to them or whatever? Is now a good time to still do it in the holidays, or because I don't really know the
Yeah,
date when
probably not, but you can still message your clients and ask them if
I could get it
that's-
organized, but I don't think I could do it to the holiday. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, I could probably get organized, yeah,
Just
but
pencil something in for next.
yeah.
Like
Yeah.
if you can, 4th, 5th, 10th, whatever. Because
Yeah.
what will happen is when everyone's back, after 2023, the first 3 or 4 days, everyone's disorganized. So like pencil something in.
Lazy
after, let's say, the
cunts.
5th. I think, yeah, that's a good delay. Now for the 5th or the 6th, something in January, first 2 weeks, and then you'll be fine. You can try now, but like it's the 19th today. Like it's 6 days until Christmas. I think a lot of people are like honestly, everyone should stop campaigns like either today or tomorrow, because you're just wasting leads. Like if it's people that celebrate Christmas, if it's the Asian market, if it's the market in Africa, then continue. But if it's,
Yo, Nathan, you target SaaS, right?
Yeah.
How do you do your market research for service delivery?
Well, like it depends. For example, if it's a fintech company, you have to know, okay, what are the, let's say, regulations there. So if it's a US company, okay, how does regulation work in
No,
US
like
about,
something like
fintech
like
apps?
ROI, like something that's not like an
Everything's
yeah.
an ROI. It's just how you position it. I can like sell you anything and connect it with a certain KPI. It's just a thing about like how creative are you with creating that new KPI. Maybe that KPI isn't easily measurable. Like for
So do you
example,
always tend to find the KPI? Is that how
yeah, and
KPI
also
related to who
sometimes
you're messaging?
yeah, and sometimes like if it's something new, for example, so you have a new tool that had never been seen before, created before, you can simply write not like the one-liners. I don't like them. You can just write
What
a
if the tool
simple
is
cold
similar
email.
to another tool but is better?
No, then you're commoditized right away. So you wanna let's pick an example. Like if it's theoretical stuff, it's hard to explain. So let's look at Zendesk, for example. So let's say I create a Zendesk alternative. I wouldn't mention them in the initial email. I would in the breakup or in the follow-up, but not in the initial email. The reason why is because I know Zendesk solves a problem. What's the problem Zendesk is solving? Customer support. Okay, so if you have a good customer support, so imagine you have like two things, so two boxes on the left and the right. On the left is the tool, the category, so customer support, and the right is what does it do. So customer support gets you more happy customers, lowers returns, for example, lowers refunds, increases your company value. Why? Because if you have more customers, you're valued more. So even if you're in the VC world or if you're on the stock exchange, still the same. What it also does, it also makes like your developers a lot more happy. Why? Because you can get feedback faster. It makes your employees feel better because they see that the work they're putting in results in happier customers. So those are just 6 things, but there may be more. Of course, there are. So you think, okay, the result of Zendesk is X. Okay, so my tool, and let's say the tool is Nathan's live chat tool. Nathan's live chat tool can do X and Y. So then I know my tool is better because it can do Y. Okay, then I go and I build the lead list. So not every SaaS will have the same issue. So like I said, a fintech company maybe has a different customer support issue than a company that does data analytics, for example. So okay, what does this company? So let's say I don't know Salesforce. What issues does Salesforce have with their customers? What are the most common questions? You can go onto their forum. You can go onto different communities. That's research. So what problem are their customers facing, and how can my tool help Salesforce solve those problems through customer support? So it's always like it's simple distribution. Okay, this is the problem I know you're facing. This is how it is usually solved. I'm going to help you solve it and do Y and do X. And that X is the reason why I'm better.
Okay,
Because
but
I don't want to
that's
be like Zendesk. I don't care about Zendesk. I know like if it was like that, then you would only have one brand of water, one brand of toilet paper, one brand of energy drinks. You wouldn't have Red Bull, Monster, and Coca-Cola and Pepsi. Everyone positions themselves differently. So think about this. Coca-Cola, the sugar-free version is 0. So Coke 0. But the Pepsi version is Pepsi Max. So it's the complete opposite. So you have 0 sugar here, Coca-Cola, but you have maximum flavor in Pepsi. You have to start looking at those patterns.
with your like example with Salesforce, how would you like appeal to the mass, not just one company,
No, you don't appeal to the mass. Every company has a different issue. Like I said, Salesforce has one issue, but another CRM, for example, Close, even though I don't like them, they have a different issue. So in my actual outreach, in my emails, in my copy, I have to address those issues. If I'm generic, then I'm just like everyone else. For some products, for some markets, you can be generic. That's fine because there's not a lot of not competition essentially, but not a lot of similar tools. So, for example, it was live chat software. There are a lot of alternatives. I have to be specific. But if I was selling I don't know, let's see, like custom voice messages when you join the website. So I join a website, so I click on a link, I go into Salesforce, and it tells me, "Hello, Nathan." In some way, it does that. Then I'm offering something new, something different they haven't seen before, and I don't even need to compare because I know I'm different. I'm pioneering that space. This goes back to, if you read old books about like economics and all of that, about how people think, how the markets work, and all that.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
I got
When
I
you
got
write
one last
copy,
thing.
like when you write copy, you see in Roast My Script, that's the result of all of that. Writing a good cold email, it takes a bit. Like if you want to make it good, especially now, and like I said, it depends on the industry. If I'm selling something new, something different, I can write the simplest cold email in the world. Like I was able to book calls with 200, 300 million companies without a single case study, with no social proof, with one variable. The only variable was their company name and first name. It worked because that product was new. We didn't like having a new product is like, it can be a good thing and a bad thing. The reason why is because if they have no case studies, no social proof, the sales cycle is different for that company. So they're not going to make money right away. But if they have something new, something different, writing emails is a lot easier because you're different just because you offer something that's new. So you don't need to worry about those KPIs, about case studies, about social proof, none of that, because just your offer is different. And that's enough to make you better than everyone else in the mind of your prospects, not the market. Market is a completely different thing.
Okay. Okay.
I got one last question, and the question is: I heard Gus explaining about the negotiating part on pricing earlier. I was wondering, like, how do you guys close bigger retainers like 7K, 9K? Do you just pitch like 15K as a retainer and then negotiate down, or like I'm kind of curious on how you do that.
Yeah, but it has to seem organic, right? So you can kind of have your big product or a big service. So that might be like a full-on growth plan for my example. So like that includes paid ads. It also includes SEO. It also includes a new funnel. And that might be a project that can get them X amount of meetings a month or X amount of revenue in a 12-month period. So if they don't want to hop on that, I can kind of go down on price a little bit, but it's limited. But then you would also just take away some of the features or some of the services that you're doing. So they might not have paid ads in that, and we might not be able to scale as well, or we might not be able to do it as fast. So we might need to spend a little more time on X thing if they are paying less. And you can, I never mention when I'm doing retainer plus rev share, I'm never mentioning the guarantee. The guarantee is always something that I just kind of pull out my fucking ass if they don't want to hop on the first like one or two offers. And then I mention, okay, so I know we can get results, etc. What about a guarantee? So that could be like a 2x ROI on the investment.
Okay. Okay. So, but do you like actually pitch like 10K or straight to the 7K, 9K, and then slowly negotiate down?
Yeah, but it's not a lot. So I would say 10,000 if I'm pitching like a $9,000 product.
Oh, okay.
You can also
I
do
would
like,
just like
yeah, sorry.
tell the price like right away. We usually just tell the price right away because, like I said, some people are different. If they see that you can, lower, increase the price, all of that, they may think like, okay, we overpaid, so we overpaid by 1K, 2K. But if you're strict, I'm not saying you can't lower the price or add. Well, it's like if you think about shrinkification, like now when there's inflation, the chocolate bar is still $5, for example, but you used to get, let's say, 100 grams, but now you get 80. So that's also something you can do. So you can remove a service, but keep the price the same. That's also something you can do because you want to make sure you're getting paid that much. You have fixed costs at scale, but you can't tell someone, okay, it's 10K, but for you it's 7K. I wouldn't never like downsell that aggressively if it's only a couple of like, because at that point they're trying to play with you. It's not like $1,000 up or down is not going to break a company that does 100K per month. Like it's like, in my opinion, it's like, they can pay 10 times. That's how we position ourselves. So I know like an SDR is 5K. Just an SDR is 5K on average in the US. So 7K for you is nothing. That's if you were to hire one SDR, but here you get a whole team of people and you get this service and that service and this service. Your offer is already cheap enough for them. I wouldn't continue downselling.
Yeah,
I think
thank you.
when you get pricing objections, that usually means that your service is well priced. So you're not if it's always a yes, then you're charging like lower than you should.
Yeah,
You should
true.
increase
You
it.
never want to
Like,
have a fucking 80% close rate. You never want to have that.
Yeah, like the bad thing is people like say, "Oh, I'm a great salesman, have 6% close rate." Same. Okay, like what are your margins, brother? Like a lower like close rate can sometimes be even better because you're going to make more. And you can't work with everyone. Like
Yeah.
you shouldn't work with people that it's way easier to help a rich guy make more money than a poor guy to make money. That's people that's been proven times and times before.
All right, boys. Do we got some last questions before we wrap this up? Because I am hungry as fuck. Oh, we got snooze. Of course, we need to take snooze.
I don't have a question, boys.
Okay.
Oh, how is that possible?
The trickster.
How are your campaigns performing? Can we even ask?
I don't want to talk about it. It's all downhill.
We
Is
got
it that
fixed.
bad?
To be honest, not even campaigns. Like to me, it was. I don't even know where to start, bro. Yeah, I don't have anything to say.
All right, boys. Thanks for coming. I will upload this recording when it's done rendering. But yeah, thanks for coming. And just let me know if you got any sales questions in the general chat. I'll go grab some food now.
All right, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate it.
All right, goodbye, guys.
See ya.